YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back, and I got my Eagles off-season rebuild for you guys today. A lot of work to be done with these Eagles. They're far in the negative in cap space. We're going to fix that. We're going to clear the cap space in realistic ways. We're going to re-sign a couple players, and then we're going to dive into free agency in the NFL draft. They're not going to have, even with these, big-time restructures, cuts, the ways to clear cap space, they're not going to be able to do a whole bunch in free agency, but they got opportunities in the draft here. So we'll see what that could look like. Subscribe to the channel, doing this for every single NFL team. We got constant NFL offseason content as it is, free agency, trades, rumors, predictions, NFL draft coverage. And then that on our Twitter as well. Breaking news, instant reactions to everything. Always talking football. I got some draft clips on there. So check it out. Link in the comments and description for anything you need, including underneath me. You see the walkthemock.com. You can create or join mock draft lobbies. You draft against or with users, trades. It's ridiculous. It's one of a kind. So check it out. If you're gonna sign up there, use my code GOATHOUSE. Ends up being very cheap then. Link in the comments for that as well. Here's our Twitter. Just constant talk about anything you can think of. So you're missing out if you're not following that. Here's a little cheat sheet. I'll pin a link in the comments for this. Restructures link right here. Keep that handy, especially if you're an Eagles fan. Just a lot of informing stuff here, something to keep handy. But to the Eagles, off-season rebuild, we're starting at around negative $35 million in cap, so that's not ideal. They already made some moves, Deshaun Jackson, Alshon Jeffrey, etc., trading Carson Wentz. We got to make some cuts here. Not a whole bunch of money to be saved. Marquise Goodwin, $4.5 million. Malik Jackson would be negative. We got to designate him as a post-June 1st cut. Only got 2 of those. So I believe Malik Jackson and Alshon Jeffrey, unless they decide to keep Malik Jackson and they go Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson, so then they would end up saving a little more money. We've already assumed with Alshon Jeffrey, but they would save a little more money with Deshaun Jackson, therefore, if that is the case. But we save a little bit of money here. It sounds like Zach Ertz will be traded. I was once thinking maybe they can get a 3rd-round pick, but it's probably going down a little bit, so maybe around a 4th-round pick. You clear $4.7 million there. And then we see what we got going into the restructures. Still negative $24 million. So we're going to have to restructure a lot of contracts. Now, I will say this. They don't absolutely have to go this route. Doing things like this creates big cap hits in the future because these aren't pay cuts. And who knows, maybe they can make some pay cuts, but impossible to predict. So I would almost, kind of take an offseason off almost and, draft. You can hit on draft, prospects. But then just build in the future, build next year, the year after when you actually have cap space, because you're kind of putting yourself in a hole for the future with this. But if they did want to clear this space, there's a lot of restructures, and again, not pay cuts. A lot of restructures that could clear space. Fletcher Cox can clear up to 11.2. You see these other numbers here, big numbers from Brandon Graham, Javon Hargrave, Darius Slay, Brandon Brooks, even Lane Johnson could be right around that 6.9. I believe it came up with 6.97, somewhere around there with Lane Johnson. So you can clear a lot of money, but these aren't pay cuts. You push more cap hits to the future. But we went ahead and did it, so we have a video here. So we have moves to make in the offseason. So then we're up to $19.24 million in cap space. So it's still not a whole bunch, but at least we got some here. Re-sign Jalen Mills. I mean, you could find better, but we're not going to be able to spend that much. And Boston Scott's a key RB2, very good catching the ball out of the backfield, even downfield. So that it doesn't cost too much money there. We're still not a whole lot of money. Not going to be able to make the major moves in free agency, but some fits here. They could look to add some Colts players. We see that because they brought a whole Colts tree over, the Colts coaching staff tree, and then we know they need linebackers, so they could add a guy like Anthony Walker Jr. for inside linebacker. Could add a guy like AJ Bouye, who was cut from the Broncos. I think good pairing with Darius Slay there, won't be overly expensive, and then you need a cheap option at receiver. Zach Pascal got a ton of snaps for the Colts, so they liked him. He's a solid blocker if you need him out there at receiver as well, and could be sneaky good catching the ball. But then you go into the draft and you get your true number one to kind of pair with Jalen Reagor, Pascal, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, Jamar Chase, phenomenal prospect. I mean, just really no holes to his game. Checks every box there. Going to be a real good one there. Pairing up on LSU guys, so you had Jabril Cox, so I think they'll like more for the coverage aspect at outside linebacker. If they're going to run more of a Colts scheme, they're going to need coverage linebackers. They may need their safeties to upgrade coverage at safety as well. Their front seven's fantastic, or excuse me, the defensive line, the four up front is fantastic. So they'll be fine there. But we'll see if they run that scheme. A lot of cover two in that scheme, so the corners don't have the toughest job. But then they're going to need a tight end maybe to replace Zach Ertz, to pair with Goddard. I think they'll like Hunter Long from Boston College. Physical tight end, good at dominating the middle of the field, can block. And then Jamar Johnson, who could potentially play strong safety for them. He actually can play free. He's a pretty good playmaker, and he can play slot corner. So he's a pretty good blitzer as well. But so he's a pretty versatile safety, under the radar safety. I think they'll like. I'm looking forward to see if a guy like Kayvon Wallace will step up. I liked him a lot. He's almost he can play strong safety. He can play slot. He's almost like a sub-package outside linebacker as well. I kind of like Wallace. I like that pick. So we'll see if he ends up stepping up as well. But here's some good fits. We'll definitely upgrade the team. Again, they can't spend a whole bunch. Moving on to a different scenario. Maybe we can get a veteran like KJ Wright to boost that linebacker unit. Obviously, can cover, a pretty good playmaker there. Can add a corner like Troy Hill from the Rams out there. Another Colts guy, yeah, they can use another tight end there. They value their tight ends. They use 3 of them in that system. So add a guy like Trey Burton with Goddard. Then it's a little different option. They could go Trey Lance, another North Dakota State quarterback, but that wouldn't be a reason to not draft somebody. That would be idiotic. Like, if we like this guy, but he played at North Dakota State, wouldn't make sense. They still love the idea of Carson Wentz, not that Trey Lance and Carson Wentz are the same. Just something happened along the lines with him, injuries affecting him. Lance, actually, I think, is a bigger and better version of Jalen Hurts. I liked what I saw from Jalen Hurts last year. Still a little bit of a mystery. I think people are like, it's not fair to give Hurts, don't give him a chance. And that's true, but that doesn't mean you have to pass up on potentially a better quarterback. I'm not necessarily saying they have to get a quarterback at all, but if you can potentially get better at the most important position in football, if you grade Lance, let's say they grade Lance, very highly, or any other quarterback, you pull the trigger there. It's a no-brainer. You're not forced to go with Hurts for any reason, but they can. I think Hurts can be solid. Who knows? He looked better than I expected him in year one, especially getting thrown into a bad situation, which is usually a bad situation for quarterbacks. But yeah, Lance, Hurts is still in a way kind of when you evaluate them, you kind of throw in that prospect evaluation, because how many reps has he got? Still young. So Lance is a bigger, better, more accurate, I should say, version of Jalen Hurts. They may like that upgrade. Who knows? A lot of people believe that. And then Terrace Marshall could go late first, could drop to them early second. I think they'll like him. Pairing him. They have Travis Fulgham as well. I think similar there, but could be an upgrade. But yeah, pairing him with Fulgham, Rager, and then whoever you decide to pick up in these scenarios. But Jamin Davis from Kentucky, I think could play inside or outside. Going to be a very athletic, rangy linebacker for them. Then grabbing another receiver there in Daz Newsome from North Carolina. Speedy, good down the sideline, big playability. So it's weird, because then they'll have a long list of receivers, but you could be upgrading them because, could have got like John Hightower step up from last year, guys like that. We'll see. But yeah, they're going to need more in there for sure. So we'll see what route they go. Tough to, people view receiver. Yeah, receiver could be the biggest need. Linebacker. It's going to be very important to upgrade those linebacker position. It's going to be tough, though, to turn this around in one offseason. Again, yeah, they could if they do what I said, what I said in this video, can clear a lot of money, and then they're able to make some moves, but then you're kind of putting yourself in situations in the future. So maybe they just kind of take the offseason off and just draft, clear a little bit of space, do what you can. That would be ideal, honestly, and then go to work next offseason, the next one, build a championship team again. So we'll see what they end up doing here. Definitely an intriguing team for this offseason with their cap space situation. We'll see what they do. Almost done with these. Not too many teams left, but we are doing every team. Got a bunch on the channel, a bunch of NFL offseason content on the channel. And check out our Twitter, a bunch of content on there. Please subscribe, smash that like button. Join us for that content on the way. That's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.